Time now for an in-depth look at the market news this afternoon, and for that I'm joined on the line by Mr. Daniel Yu, Global Strategist at Yuanta Securities. Mr. Yu, good afternoon. Thank you for making time today.
Good afternoon.
Well, we continue to see this sell-off in U.S. stocks. Investors looking ahead to central banks going through with their tightening policies into next year. Fourth straight session, part of that on housing data. In Japan, the Nikkei also down as the BOJ widens its yield tolerance range. What's the story in the global markets?
Yes, if you look at the Dow Jones, it fell by about 163 points, about 0.5%. S&P 500 also lost 0.9%. NASDAQ was down by 1.5%. Clearly, a continuation of declining trend over the next 2 weeks or so. It's fourth straight session of declining. If you look at the Fed's tone, it continues to be hawkish. Chairman Powell had said that last week, the central bank would continue its monetary policy tightening campaign despite the ongoing uncertainty about recessionary risk. And it is expecting the inflation is picking and it is going down, but nevertheless, until 2% is met, the chairman have said that Fed will continue to have a very tight monetary policies. If you look at the interest rate itself, the Fed is saying that now they will have a terminal rate as high as 5%, 5.1% matter. If you look at the long-term 10-year government bond rate, it did go down to as low as 3.4%, but now rising back up to about 3.6%. So clearly, people are uncertain about the interest rate environment. Also, we are seeing quite sharp slowing down of economy, including the housing market. Clearly, the housing price is dropping, and that is causing the uncertainty about the overall consumers' sentiment. Clearly, the sentiment is weakened quite significantly, and overall economic slowdown is very much likely. Of course, the concern is that whether we will hit the economic recession period next year or not. However, the market seems to be reasonably stable for the time being because uncertainty regarding the overall market condition is not necessarily to a severe recession, but a moderate slowdown of the economy. Now, also, if you look at the Chinese market, it is showing quite a sharp drop as the interest rate continues to remain at where it is at LPR rate at around 3.65%. And if you look at the overall COVID hit level, a lot of the jump in terms of the COVID cases, that is causing a quite uncertainty about the economic slowdown. We are hoping that the economy will recover next year from the 3% growth rate this year to 5.5%. But with this kind of uncertainty, continues to put some pressure of global economy recovery next year.
Indeed, and Korean stocks extending their losing streak today, too, with a pretty significant decline on both main indices. Almost all the big names lower today, with only a couple of exceptions. The exchange rate closing today well below 1,300. Tell us about the domestic market.
Right. Even though the Korean won has appreciated to 1292, dropping by about 12 dollar rate, we are seeing foreign investors not necessarily buying of the Korean market. We saw about 100 billion won of selling of the KOSPI and about 72 billion won of selling of KOSDAQ, and slightly buying of futures market by about 82 billion. Also, in terms of the overall turnover, it's quite weak. So I think that people are quite uncertain about what would be the market direction. From the below 2,200 KOSPI level, it did recover to well above 2,400, now dropping by about 3-4%. Right now, KOSPI is at 2,333. KOSDAQ is at around 703. If you look at the market movement, there aren't really leading sectors. Only sector did okay today are financials, including the insurance sector as well as banking sector, but not that by much. So overall, I think that people are just cautious to the end of this year because U.S. market is showing a correction, and also Korea is quite uncertain about what will be the interest rate environment and also economic growth in terms of in the future. Clearly, global economic slowdown would be a negative news for Korea, obviously Kospi will not be rising if that happens. In any case, though, lower interest rate environment is a positive news for the Kospi, and Kospi is trading at 0.8 times the book value, so it is definitely at cheap territories. So we need to see some more stabilization of the economic growth territories, then we will see the market recover.
Well, Mr. Yu, if we could talk about oil prices for a minute. They've been climbing back up a bit, in part because of these expectations for greater demand from China as it opens back up more than 1% the past day or so. This is at the same time investors seem to think we're going to have a global recession. So what do you see happening with oil prices?
Yes, I don't think that the oil price will be showing any type of a rising trend in the future. It will be a quite cautious movement. If you look at the crude prices, it did go up to $76 per barrel on Tuesday. It gained because of the demand optimism coming from the Chinese economic recovery, maybe the reopening over in China. However, though, with the reopening, we are seeing a sharp rise of the COVID cases, and maybe the death cases is arising as well. So therefore, people are quite uncertain about the economic growth recovery for China, and that causing uncertainties. We are seeing futures prices are down by about 0.2, 0.3%, and also the natural gas prices are down quite significantly yesterday as well as today. So overall, in terms of the energy demand, it's all concerned about the economic growth rate next year. If the global economy falls into economic recession, oil prices will not be in any position to rise in the future. In terms of the overall supply and demand picture, we think that the oil demand will be gradually declining as the alternative energy segment substitutes the oil side. And therefore, we think that the oil will be in a range bound. We don't think that it's going to go up above $85 per barrel. Most likely somewhere between $70 to $85 per barrel over the next 12 months.
All right, we'll keep an eye on it with your help, Mr. Yu. Thank you as always for coming on the program. We really appreciate your insights.
Thank you very much.